Hey everyone, welcome to the Black TV Podcast. I'm your host Gabriel Logan. It is August 7th, 2019 at the 6:30 a.m. hour. I'll talk to you about the news that everyone should be talking about. Get it started on the podcast. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. I'm trying to think of new, clever ways to say. Unfortunately, I'm an idiot and it's not working too well. Anyway, welcome to the Black TV Podcast. So we got some news that's out right now, and Blaire White apparently got into a heated debate with a so-called intersex transgender who basically just got herself arrested. Yeah, that's right, which is hilarious, and I'll read it to you right here. So, Jessica Yaniv, a transgender British Columbia activist, says she was arrested for brandishing a taser. Jessica Yaniv, a transgender British Columbia woman whose complaints over being refused immediate waxing services sparked wide controversy, was arrested Monday apparently for brandishing a prohibited weapon during an online debate. Yaniv and officers showed up at her apartment. Yaniv said officers showed up at her apartment in Langley, British Columbia, shortly after the YouTube debate on transgender activism ended. The officers asked her about a stun gun. She said, "About 3 minutes after the broadcast ended, I have RCMP showing up at my door and putting me into cuffs, saying I prohibited a prohibited weapon." She said in her interview. Like that, you can't get more dumber than that. She said, God damn it. I accidentally hit the link and then it closed it. And this is by the National Post, by the way, this article. I hate that when you scroll and then you accidentally swipe and then you close it. She said that after her release from the holding cells and returned her apartment, she called the RCMP back Tuesday morning to report a child sexual exploitation photo that someone had sent her through Facebook Messenger. Because she's also been in trouble for being a pedophile, too. That was basically what the debate was with YouTuber Blaire White. The RCMP detachment in Langley confirmed an arrest and search of a home in the area, but could not confirm specific details. Charges, timelines, or named individuals said. CPL, Craig Van Herk, Cadet Patrol. I don't know what CPL, Corporal. I'm not sure what that stands for. I don't need to be scared in my own home. He said the RCMP received information and based on it, officers have an open investigation, an active and ongoing investigation. Van Herk would not confirm or deny the charges or the circumstances behind them or what Yaniv said was the reason for the RCMP's return to her apartment. Neighbors of Yaniv confirmed seeing her being taken away in handcuffs Monday, and Yaniv did appear that day side by side in a YouTube conversation with Blaire White, a U.S.-based transgender woman whose videos often deal with transgender issues. During the heated YouTube debate viewed by the Post, White harshly criticized Yaniv's tactics, actions, and appearance, and Yaniv said she faces harassment and threats because of the promise of her trans activism. I have to carry pepper spray with me because people are so freaking violent over here, Yaniv said during the debate. She then stood up from her seat in front of her computer, rummaged around inside her apartment for a moment before returning. I should not have to literally have something like this, she said. I don't need to be scared in my own house. She then held up a stun gun and zapped it towards the camera, emitting a flash and crackle, which is illegal in Canada, just saying, she said. Conducted energy weapons, also known as stun guns ordered by the brand name tasers, as well as pepper spray, are considered prohibited weapons in the hands of the public. She said officers took 2 stun guns, pepper spray, and bear spray from her apartment. Yenev, however, said the charge is unfair because she has reportedly told police about her stun guns and repellent sprays, saying they are for her personal protection. She said that several times when the RCMP, which provides multiple policing in Langley, came to her reports of harassment or threats, she warned them she had weapons in her home. I say, hey, you know what? For your safety and for my safety, I do have weapons in the house. I do have a taser. It's locked up. If you want to see it, I'll show it to you. They've all seen it. They are all cool with it. And now all of a sudden they are not cool with it. The RCMP could not confirm these alleged prior interactions. Yenev said that at the time of her arrest Monday, she had a seizure and was first taken to a hospital rather than the RCMP detachment. After tests and examination, she was taken to the detachment and locked in a cell. I don't need to be scared in my own house because of her sudden departure. She said in her apartment was left unsecured, requiring an RCMP officer to stand guard outside for about 8 hours. RCMP could not confirm these events. That's the thing. She talks about this stuff, but RCMP declines to comment on these events. So, is she lying? Or is she telling the truth and they're not providing any information? So that's the thing about this story. Yenev became a controversial public figure after she made numerous complaints to the British Columbia Human Rights Tribunal against beauty salon owner who refused to provide her waxing services. She said she was refused waxing of arms, eyebrows, as well as her genital area. She still has male genitals, but earlier said she is on the wait list for genital surgery. She is taking female hormones and has legally changed her name and sex on official documents, she said. Yenev is the subject of several allegations of harassment, including claims she has a history of vulgar, sexualized online communication with teenage girls, at least one of whom has conducted a national tip line for reporting the sexual exploitation of children. Yenev has denied these allegations. So that's the thing about this, which is kind of hilarious, that it is pretty ironic to me that she basically knew that it was against the law to have a taser, and then she gets arrested for it, and then she goes, well, I've told them about it before, and they were like all cool with it, now they're not cool with it, which I find bullshit. Cops are typically dickheads. They're not gonna fucking do that. I don't know one fucking cop that goes, you know what, it's okay, don't worry about it. Trust me, they're not cool like that. If you have something that's prohibited like that, they're going to take that very seriously. I think it's ridiculous on her part to act like she's the victim when clearly she's the one who did it. Hang on for a second. That's right. God damn, that scared the shit out of me. So there was a spider on my wall, and I just smacked the fuck out of it with a sandal just now. Oh my God, I hate spiders so much. Sorry about that. I should have paused the podcast, but spiders freak the fuck out of me, man. Great, now I'm going to have PETA on my ass too. Just watch. I'm going to have those fucking PETA fuckers this guy's a dick, he killed a spider. You know what? Fuck you. Have you ever seen a spider the size of a goddamn quarter? Fuck that shit, man. I don't give a fuck. That thing was the size of a fucking Jesus. Well, unfortunately, I've never seen a spider the size of a ping pong paddle. But fuck me. That was huge. Huge. I just whacked it with a sandal as hard as I could. So yeah, Yenev is also released on bail, which is pretty ironic. I think it's weird. I don't know if it's just the city in British Columbia or it's the entire country of British Columbia of Canada. Because I'm assuming the person's from... Because if it's British Columbia, it's typically Canada. And then D.C. is District of Columbia, which is kind of weird if you think about it. But no, what I find very strange about this whole ordeal is why would you fucking show that and be like, hey, guess what, Blaire, I've got a taser, and it's like, if they are illegal, prohibited items in Canada, why the fuck would you show it? I mean, I know there's some dumb Republicans out there, but that's pretty hilarious that Blaire White was able to get that dumbass in jail. That is funny as hell. She should get a medal for that shit. That is hilarious that she basically says all that shit. And then she's also harassing teenage girls, and she declines to comment about that. And it's like, obviously there's evidence that she's, a creep, and got arrested for basically has a weapon. Like, they found 2 stun guns, they found pepper spray, which is illegal in Canada. See, and I find that weird. I don't get that. Why is that illegal in I don't know the entire United States laws, but I live in California, which is a state. And in the state of California in the United States, for those who don't know, if I ever have Canadian listeners or whoever, which usually Canadians are very peaceful people. Yeah, you need help, eh? Yeah, I got AAA. Hey. I'm just making a little joke of Family Guy. But the thing is, in the state of California, you're allowed to have a stun gun. You're also allowed to have a taser, and you are allowed to have pepper spray in this state. You also can legally conceal a knife, but it has to be under, I can't remember if it's 3 inches, and that's considered. So, for example, if you have a keychain, and you have those little knives that they put on the end of that, you know what I mean? For your, sometimes it's useful. If you have a package that you can't open, or those video games that are a pain in the ass to open, you can just nick it, and then you'll be able to pull the saran wrap away. And I used to have that on me. I used to have a keychain on me with that company that my grandma used to work for. And it was a utility thing, and it was like a square or a rectangle, and then you pull the end of it, and it had less than an inch blade, which is very, very tiny. I mean, seriously, it's the size of a fingernail of a toenail, and then that's what you would use to, on that. So that technically is legal in the state of California. In the state of California, I also read it is legal to own a taser, the ones that you shoot, and then they have the prongs that go in and you zap somebody with it. That is legal, and you legally, in the state of California, I even read this, you don't need a permit to own a taser. However, it is unlawful to use a taser for any other use besides protection. So, for example, if you're using it to joke around, or you're going after, you're just zapping people with it as a joke, you could actually go to jail with that, and you would have to pay a very hefty fine for it. So I do not recommend using it for any other purpose besides protection. And then also, you can also take the top part off of the prongs of where the current goes through and just use it as a regular stun gun. If you want. But it's 15,000 volts or whatever amount of electricity is, and they hurt like shit. They really do. I remember as a kid, my dad had a stun gun, And it was a real giant, powerful one back like in the late 90s. And I touched it. And I went, oh my God, motherfucker. And it hurt so bad. And I was just a kid. I didn't know. And it was in the garage. And it was my fault, not his, because it was put away. I was just this stupid, curious George. And being an idiot. And I touched it. I was like, ow, motherfucker. So yeah, in the state of California, that is legal. And I think pepper spray is legal as well in the state of California. I don't know how it is in certain states. Now, here's the other thing. It's bizarre to me because this is what I don't understand. A taser is legal in the state of California, but you know what is illegal in the state of California? Batons. That's what doesn't make sense to me. In the state of California, it is illegal to have a concealed baton or like if you have a car and you have like, you know, like certain types of like weapons like that, it's considered illegal. So if you live in the state of California, there's a lot of stuff you can't buy. For example, dart guns. Like where you blow into a dart and where you blow into a tube like a flute and it shoots a dart out. That's technically illegal in California. Those batons that extend, those are illegal in California. So there's a lot of different things, which is ironic that all that stuff's illegal. Pepper spray is also illegal. And certain things that they ship from Amazon to California is illegal. For example, on Amazon, you can't ship butane in those small canisters to California anymore. I just found out. And then also, like, there are all these things I saw, like recommendations. I saw, like, gas cans and whatever else. They can't ship that to California either. So California is very strange when it comes to certain things. Like, ferrets are illegal in California. Hedgehogs are illegal in California. So those are all those things, like, for agricultural reasons and whatever. So it is very interesting to me how there's a lot of things out there that are illegal in California. But I find that ironic, though, that in Canada, I know they have a lot, I know they are socialists and they have, they're very, Canada is a very socialist country, and I know that they have a lot of tight gun control laws. However, to ban pepper spray and having stun guns, I think is a far stretch. No offense. I honestly think, because stun guns and pepper spray are less than lethal ways of protection. And honestly, to be honest with you, if you're going to make it really difficult for people to own guns in that country, then I think it's stupid to not allow those people to have at least some sort of protection, such as pepper spray and or stun guns or tasers. Because you live in a country like that, what are people supposed to do to protect themselves if some predator comes up to them? What if someone is like evil and wanting to do harm to someone? You need something to protect yourself. That's why, after careful research I've looked up, that's why I've thought about like owning like a taser. I've thought about getting one just in case, because we live in such a crazy society now, and I've thought about it. I've thought about, having a taser and protecting myself. The only problem with it is that they're very expensive. They can range anywhere between $300 to $500, and the cartridges can run anywhere up to $50 for one cartridge. So they're not cheap. It's about the same price if you're going to pay for an actual, pistol. However, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I don't believe that people should. I'm not really a big gun advocate. I don't really believe in guns. I don't think guns are necessary in society. However, I do like that stun guns are less than lethal, but here's another thing you got to recommend too. The other reason why I'm also somewhat like kind of scared about stun guns is because a lot of people have heart conditions, and using a stun gun and or a taser on that person could be fatal. So I don't really like them in general, but it is a safer alternative than to, you know what I mean, than someone using a gun instead, and it's even more dangerous and more, you know, I mean, look, we saw what happened with that kid, you know, it's evil what George Zimmerman did. I mean, that's just deplorable. And that's what I mean. Like, yeah, I don't agree with, I mean, I would rather be tased than that, because, you know, you would end up surviving usually. But then again, cops have used tasers on people and they've died from using them because of the voltage. And it, like, for example, I think it would be very dangerous if someone, like, if I ever did get tased for no reason, obviously, if I ever did get tased, it probably would be fatal for me because I have congestive heart failure. So I think it would be very dangerous for someone to actually use a taser. And that's the thing, you got to put that into an account too. Like, is it worth it to, you know what I mean? Because we're all people, you know? And like this person obviously has mental health problems. And I'm not saying that because the person's transgender. That's discriminatory, and I actually love transgender people. What I mean by is the person going around harassing teenage girls, I think, is a form of mental illness. I don't honestly believe that wanting to be a woman or a man is not, that's just a gender identity problem. That's not like a carefully constructed problem that needs to be addressed. Like, you know, her going after, like, writing girls and wanting to get her balls waxed. And I'm like, and then people didn't want to. And it's like, I wouldn't call that discrimination, but there are places you can go to that are LGBT friendly. I'm sure you can go somewhere and get a Brazilian wax for your balls. I'm sure there's a place for that somewhere. And that's the other thing. There's no reason to get mad. Now, it's one thing if a person was saying all this anti-stuff about LGBT people, and then you could probably sue and get them to court and then win a bunch of money during the court hearing. But if it's just this, I wouldn't bother. I don't understand people like this. Like, it's not a big issue. Just go somewhere else. Go to a different place. You know, I'm sure there's someone else that wants to wax your balls. So, anyway, that's just my take on it. I'm really glad Blaire White did something about it. But thank you so much for listening to the Blog TV podcast. Anyway, take it easy and take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.